Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog, the first of 2022, where I'm gonna be reading The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Okay, so The Poppy War is book 1 in the Poppy War series, and this is a fantasy but also sort of historical fiction series. And I think it was my last video when I said that I'm not the biggest fan of historical fiction, but when it has components of like fantasy in this case, or science fiction, or like a thriller, I tend to like it. I was not worried at all about the historical aspect of it. Actually, I thought that it made it more interesting. And anyway, I had heard so many good things, like only good things, honestly, about this book and this series in general, but also that it was really sad and hard-hitting and heartbreaking, and I can confirm now because I've read it, and yeah. But anyway, I just want to say that there are definitely spoilers for what happens in this book, in this reading vlog, and having said that, let's move on. Hey, so I am on page 216 of The Poppy War, which is like the first part, and there are 3 parts. And at first thought I was gonna be like reading 1/3 and then another third and then another third, because that's what I usually do. And the 3 parts are not, they don't have the same amount of pages, like not even close, but I thought I would do it by parts because it would probably make more sense for the story. But anyway, in this story we follow Rin, who is a war orphan, and she is basically taken in by a family, but it's not that they care about her, they just want her as a free worker. And when I think she's 16, but now I'm not sure, I think she was 16 when they found a merchant for her to marry. But obviously that's not what she wants. And so she spends 2 years, again, I think it's 2 years, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was when she was 16 until she was 18. But yeah, she spends 2 years studying for a test called the Keiju. And that test determines who can get into the military academies. And she gets into the best one, which is called Sinagard. And she needed to get to that one because that one was free and all the other ones she had to pay, and she did not have the money. So she needed to get to Sinagard, and she did. But in Sinagard, all the teachers and also the other students, they don't accept her there. They think that she doesn't belong because she's just a dark-skinned peasant girl from the south, and all the other people in that school are just from famous and important families, and so they all think that she doesn't belong there. And one specific boy, who I think in the audiobook they say Najah, I think that's how they pronounce his name, but I might be totally wrong. But he's like the worst. He's always like talking bad to her and always starting fights, and he kind of starts a fight with her in one of their classes, and then she obviously like retributes, and the teacher bans her from his class, but not Najah, because like he's the son of whoever, like an important person, family, whatever. So like she's banned from class and she cannot train ever again in that class or even in like the training facilities. But then Jiang, one of the other mentors, actually helps her train and helps her get ready for the test at the end of the year, where it will be determined who will be able to continue in the academy and who will have to go home. And at that test at the end of the year, she has a fight, a tournament, and she wins, and the last person she fought with was Najah, and obviously she was like really pissed, and she kind of started feeling like she was burning. And then her mentor Jiang was able to like actually physically cool her down. And then she became his apprentice in the next year, and he told her that he could make her a shaman. And after training for a while with Jiang, and I mean for a while, it was like a long time, she was actually able to see the pantheon and the gods. And in the story they talk about 3 heroes, and it's the Dragon Lord, the Vipress, and the Gatekeeper. And the Dragon Lord is dead, the Vipress is thought to be the Empress, I think, and the Gatekeeper has been missing since the Second Poppy War. And I'm wondering if the gatekeeper is Jiang, like her mentor. And yeah, I am really enjoying this book so far. And when I say enjoying, I mean, it might not be the best word because what Rin has been going through is just, not enjoyable. It's hard to read and it's really heartbreaking. But I do love Rin and her one friend, Kitay, he's like her one friend at the academy. And then like when school was over, he took her to his house, to his family, and like, yeah, I definitely really like their friendship and also really like Rin's relationship with her mentor. Jiang also really like that. And I'm definitely really interested in the shaman thing and how Rin is gonna use her abilities that she has and how she could communicate with the gods. And I also really love the world building of this book and like the academy and the gods, the lore, everything. Like I am really, really enjoying this. And I had heard amazing things about it from people I follow, so I already knew or at least thought that I was going to enjoy it, and so far, yeah, it's great and very excited to keep reading. Okay, so I got to page 406, which means I read part 2 of the Poppy War. So the war that had started reached the academy, Sinigard, and all the students and the teachers had to fight, basically. And Rin's mentor, Jiang, I think he like called upon the gods for help or something, and things kind of like blew up, and now he is missing. And Rin also called on the help of her god, which is the Phoenix, and she started burning like she had when she had the fight with Najah. She started burning and burning her enemies, but she couldn't really, she can't really control it yet, but like she was able to stop it, but she definitely could not control it. After that, since the war is still happening, they weren't gonna just stay at school. All of them were sent to different divisions of the militia, but Rin was sent to the Psych, which are the 13th division of the militia, but they're just technically the Empress's assassin squad. And most of them are shamans, so they can like contact different gods and get their help. And they are seen as like the weird division. And so like Rin was definitely not excited to go there, but I mean she's still not ecstatic. But the leader of the Psych is Alton, who was a guy that was at Sinigard when she got there. And he can contact the Phoenix as well, like Rin, but like he can actually control his powers. And there was an attack at the city that the Psych and some other divisions were protecting. And so like the war definitely reached there and a lot of people died. And then there was like a monster attacking. And there was a thing on page 358. Rin had a sinking suspicion of where the key may have come from. She'd seen the monster before. She'd seen it in the illustration of the Jade Emperor's menagerie. When Jiang had opened that void at Sinigard, he had ripped the hole in the fabric between their world and the next. And now, with the gatekeeper gone, demons were climbing through at will. And I still think that Jiang might be the gatekeeper. And after that attack and the other attack, they caught one of the enemies, and basically he told them that the attacks on that city were just a distraction and they're actually gonna attack the capital. And that is where I'm at, and I'm definitely still loving this book and following Rin's journey, even though it's like very painful, and I know there's a lot more pain to come from what I've heard like in this book and the others, but yeah, it's like definitely very painful and hard to read about sometimes, but I am, loving to read it and to get to know these characters and their journey. And I'm like very interested in the shaman thing with the gods. And I think Rin is more like about to be able to control her power, but I'm not sure that's actually a good thing. So, yeah. Oh, also, I think I forgot to mention, but Najah was with Rin because he was in one of the divisions that was at the same city. And he was like they were acting as friends. And I mean, I didn't like that because he was a horrible person to her at Sinigard. And now he's just acting like they're friends, and she's acting like they're friends. And I mean, I get it. They're at war. It's probably feels comforting to have someone you know there, but he was a horrible person. Like, I wouldn't want to be acting friendly with someone who had treated me like Najat treated Rin. So there is that. Also, I think someone mentioned that he might be a shaman because he was like really injured at Synagard and he recovered really quickly. So he might be a shaman as well. That's where I'm at right now. And I have a little over 100 pages to go. Like, part 3 is the shortest. And I will finish it today. Will I update the vlog today? Probably not, because it will be dark and I will have no light to film. But yeah, I'm getting close to the finish line and I am very excited. Hello, VoiceOver Edish here. So, on my last reading vlog, which was when I read It, I decided to draw Pennywise, and I wanted to draw something for this reading vlog as well. And I was like, what am I gonna draw? So I decided to draw some poppies because the Poppy War, and poppies are mentioned a lot in this book. So yeah, that's what I went for. And as you saw, I started to draw like some literal blobs, and then I created another layer and sort of gave them a shape, even though it was still very blobby. And then I created another layer, which is what I am doing right now, and I started to actually make them look like poppies and to give them the proper shape. And after that, like, I went through the 4 poppies and those stem things, I don't know what they're called, but yeah, I also went through that, and it was a pain in the ass to draw the stems. Is that the right word? Stems? I don't know, but it was really complicated because they're all like intercepting each other, and yeah, it was very complicated. But anyway, then I started to paint, and I went for a red, but like orangey red, because I feel like that's what poppies look like. And I chose a darker color, but I should have made it even darker because I feel like it's barely like noticeable, the difference. So I chose like a even darker color, but I mean the middle color should have been darker because there's a lot of difference between the darkest to the middle color, and not like any difference, really barely, between the lightest and the middle color, but oh well. So yeah, I did the darker color, and then I painted the stems thing green, and I still don't know if they're called stems, but let's just pretend they are. And yeah, I call them green, and then I chose a more yellowish green for those things inside of the poppies. And yeah, those are my poppies. Alright, so I have finished the Poppy War, and at the end of my last update, I said that the people who were at war with Rin's people were actually gonna attack the capital. And so they went to the capital, and when they got there, it had already been attacked and pretty much destroyed, and almost everyone was dead. And actually, Kitai's division was there, and thankfully, Kitai was one of the few survivors. And also, there was the description of a death that was so gruesome and disturbing and horrifying that I'm not even gonna talk about, but like, it was horrible. Really, really horrible. After all that death and destruction, Alton decided that he wanted to release the prisoners from Shulukurik. And the prisoners of Shulukurik were basically shamans that had gone mad, and they weren't really human anymore, they weren't really themselves anymore, they were kind of merged with their gods, and there were some gods themselves trapped in that prison, and basically Alton wanted to release them so they would have the power of so many gods and shamans on their side. And even though Rin and most people of the Psyche didn't think that was a good idea, Rin still went with Alton to Shulukurik, and there they found the gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper was Jiang, like I had predicted, and he warned them that they should not release the others because it would just be too dangerous. But They did release one guy whose name I don't remember, but yeah, he was dangerous and he was released. And after that, before they actually managed to release anyone else, they were captured, both Rin and Alton. And they were captured by some people who had tortured Alton when he was a kid. And when they were there, they were given some drugs and they were actually able to communicate with the dead Spearleys. And I don't think I mentioned it before, but the Spearleys were a group of people that were from an island called Spear, and they were pretty much sacrificed to win the previous war. And Alton was a Spearley, and like he always knew that he was a Spearley, and they were the ones whose god was the Phoenix. And so Rin was a Spearley as well. She just didn't know it until not long ago. And so they were able to communicate with the dead Spearleys, and they told Rin how she could gain full access to the Phoenix power. And so Alton sacrificed himself to kill some of the soldiers of the Federation who were the people who were attacking them, while Rin went back to Spear to talk to the Phoenix. And when she got there, she did talk to the Phoenix, but there was a woman there who told her that she could not do that. It would be too dangerous and she would be condemning herself to basically like burn forever. But Rin just wanted to get revenge for what happened to her and her people. And so she did get full access to the Phoenix power, and she basically burned all the land and almost everyone in it. And they also found out that they were actually sold out by the Empress. The Empress is not dead, she obviously made it, and Rin wants to get her revenge. And oh my god, this whole book was intense, but this last part was just insane and just so heartbreaking and tragic and horrible. And like, I obviously don't agree with what Rin did. You know, she destroyed everything. She just burned everything and everyone, even like hundreds or thousands or even more of innocent people. So, I mean, obviously it's not right, but after everything she went through, like she was tortured and abused and betrayed, I can't say that if I was in her place, I wouldn't do the same thing. So, you know, it's obviously wrong, but at the same time, I understand that. And yeah, this was a very emotional book. I feel heartbroken, and yeah, anyway, let's go into my final thoughts. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start by talking about the characters, and obviously gonna talk about Rin first because she's the main character. And overall, I really liked Rin, like especially in the beginning. I really felt for her after like everything she was going through. It was heartbreaking, and she tried to remain good for so long, and honestly, longer than I would have, because I would have burned my enemies before her, for sure. I can tell you that. And like I said in my last update, which I literally just filmed, I obviously, you know, I cannot say that what she did was right because it wasn't. She killed so many innocent people. But I can justify it. I cannot blame her for wanting those people dead. And yeah, I loved Rin and I cannot wait to keep following her journey. Then I want to say that I also really liked Jung, her mentor, and the gatekeeper as it turned out. And yeah, I really liked how he helped her and guided her while she was at Synagard, and just basically, even though he pushed her and some of the time she was like really pissed about it because he wouldn't really explain what he was doing, like he helped her, and yeah, I really liked Jung. And I also really loved Kitai because he was like Rin's friend. He was so cute and so precious and adorable, and he was just, yeah, I loved him. And at the ending, after Rin did all that destruction, he was like obviously afraid of her and angry. And even though like I understand what Rin did, I obviously also understand his point of view, you know, like he was obviously scared of her and what she did, and especially because she doesn't really feel that bad, or she didn't show it to him that she felt bad. So I obviously also understand the way he acted towards her. And the last character I want to talk about is Najah. And I don't know if I mentioned it in my updates. Honestly, I can't remember. but Corinne said that like they were together and then they were attacked and she thinks that he died. But I'm pretty sure he didn't. And I did mention that even though he was acting nice to Rin, I still don't like him because I can't just forgive everything that he did to her and said to her and the way he acted. I mean, I do hope he has like a redemption arc and I can get to like him, but for now, it's still a no for me. Moving on from the characters, I want to say that the pacing of this book was just perfect for me because there was always something interesting happening and like relevant to the plots, but it did not feel rushed in any way, so it was really just the perfect pacing for me. And I think that a lot of the topics discussed in this book, in terms of like the historical context and the social commentary made here, were very important because it talks about some of the Asian history and particularly, I think in this case, Chinese. And you know, a lot of people are still suffering from all of that. So like it was brutal, but history was also brutal. And I mean, it still is for so many people. I liked how brutal it was, like how it showed the reality of so many people and how horrible it is. A lot of it was really hard to read and heartbreaking and just traumatizing. But I mean, imagine if you were in that situation, like how traumatizing would that be? And last but definitely not least, I want to say that I loved the world building in this book. It was so good. How they talked about all the different like provinces, or I don't know if they were called provinces, but like different regions and their religions and the gods, like the magic system was so interesting. And how like at the ending when Rin was talking to the Phoenix, how the Phoenix was saying that the gods can't really want anything. They don't actually have any real power because all they can do is give their power to the shamans, and the shamans are actually the ones who use their power for what they want. So the Phoenix didn't burn all that land because it wanted to. It was because Rin wanted the Phoenix power to do that. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, after everything I said, how much I love this book, even though it made me suffer, I am obviously giving it 5 stars. And I've heard that the next books in the series are actually gonna be more heartbreaking and painful and horrible, but I'm here for it. So I think I'm actually gonna start reading book 2, which is called, I was gonna say The Dragon Reborn, but that's a whole other series. The Dragon Republic. I actually think I'm gonna start reading it today, and my next video will definitely be the reading vlog for this book. And yeah, I'm excited. Just give me the pain. That's what I am here for. Alright, so I think this is everything for this week's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!